All right, what's up, folks? Lou here with another video. And like I said in the last video, I was going to do a video specifically on the face-to-face realm, or um, this can be equated with knowing even as you are known. So the face-to-face realm, or knowing even as you are known, same thing. And I'm going to show you the parallels. I'm going to show you what Paul was trying to say, at least in my opinion, and I believe that Jesus was saying the same thing, or Yeshua, Christ, whatever you want to call him. I'm going to say the exact. I believe they're saying the exact same thing. And the point of it, like I'm trying to do in the last video, let me just try to get to the point first, and then if you're one of the people who wants to hear what I have to say after that, then we can go on and break everything down. That way you don't have to wait through a long video just to get to the point. All right, so my point is the face-to-face realm is, well, sometimes I want to say this stuff in a way that doesn't push people away. But I mean, there was that time when Jesus said, you know, you got to eat my flesh and drink my blood, and he lost how many people? Basically, everybody turned away. It might have been like thousands of people or something like that. So I guess it is what it is. But basically, uh, according to my research, my understanding, and my revelation and my experiences, the way that I see it, the face-to-face realm is uh, a reference to an experience that happens when man figures out that he is not man but spirit. It's what happens when it happens in lucid dreams. People who have lucid dreams realize it's a changing of how you perceive yourself. It's a change or how you what you assume your identity to be, how you relate to yourself, the being that you see yourself as. All that changes. And this situation happens in about three specific occurrences that happen often. One is lucid dreaming, one is out of body experiences, spontaneous out of body experiences in most cases, and near death experiences, which are usually spontaneous as well. Okay, in these situations, and I'm going to show you the research. That's what all these tabs are up here for. I'm going to show you the research. I'm going to show you scriptures that I think confirm that. I'm going to show you how I believe that Paul was saying the same thing, that Jesus understood this as well, was saying the same thing. And it was the point of basically what their ministries were, was to get you to see this, to get you to be born again, which if you look at the parable of the wind, the video that I have on my channel, the parable of the wind, I go over how I believe that Jesus is showing Nicodemus that to be born again is to not just identify yourself as the human being born on earth, but the soul that existed before incarnation and will exist after incarnation. Okay, so I believe that that was their ministry, was to show you that you are the eternal being that you are seeking. You are the eternal being that you believe to be God, that you worship. Just like Jesus says, you worship what you do not know. You worship based off of religion or tradition that was passed down to you. And that's what he was telling the Sumerian woman at that fountain. You know, she's like, my father's worship here, or something like that. And they told us that the Messiah was coming, and he clearly told her, you worship what you do not know. You worship what you do not know. And what you do not know is yourself. That's what you call God. God is so much greater than any aspect that any religion has ever portrayed God to be. The fact that most religions give God one sex or another shows you that they don't understand God, whether it be male or female. Shows you that they don't understand God. The fact that they will give God limbs, a body, it shows you that they don't understand God. Or the fact that they in most religions, the evil is synonymous with or not, evil is synonymous, but the devil is strong, just as strong as God, something to be feared, when God is existence itself. There cannot be anything that exists outside of existence. In order for it to exist, it has to be made from existence. And there is only one thing that is existence, and that is the true Most High. The substance that everything is created from comes from the Most High, the devil included. That's why in Isaiah it says that I created good, I created evil, I made light, I made darkness. That's what those are supposed to be the words of God. So I mean, it's that's I don't know if I probably went off on a tangent on that, but my point is you are God. No, you are not the Most High. That's not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying. All what I'm saying is life, consciousness, life is born from consciousness or life. That's what Jesus was trying to tell Nicodemus. Spirit gives birth to spirit. Flesh gives birth to flesh. Human beings give birth to human beings. Dogs give birth to dogs. Spirit gives birth to spirit. Your consciousness, the living portion of you that is eternal, is spirit. Comes from spirit. That's why you are God. Just like you are man. That's why you are the Son of Man and you are the Son of God. It's the same thing. So when I say that you are God, I don't mean that you are the only God. Every single person that exists is the exact same God. That's the conclusion. When they don't know that, they become separate. They have this illusion of separation. And that's when they become these separate quote unquote deities or whatever. But in all honesty, there's only one God, the Most High. We are all that. It's just we are as much of that as we know that we are, which makes ourselves like little divisions of the one consciousness. Just like in your dream, and I've said this many times if you've seen any of my other videos, just like in your dream, this is a perfect example. Just like in your dream, there's many different people, yet they are not separate individuals. They are you. Yet you can go and speak to one and they will give you information that you did not know. But it is you. Your consciousness is what you see through their eyes. Your soul is what you see through their eyes. Just like when God sees you, he sees the exact same thing. How could he hate you? How could he dislike you? You are him. And he, unlike you, or it, I should say, that's my brainwashing, it is not under the impression that it is not under the illusion that allows most people to see flaws in people. It sees past the flaws because it's above the flaws. It has a higher understanding. It doesn't see your flaws. It sees, just like when you look at a child who like say for example you're a stepdad or something, and your little stepson 8 years old or whatever looks at you because he's really really mad that day and says, "You're not my dad." It might hurt, but you don't you don't kick him in the face or disown him because of that one saying. You know that he's upset and he's a kid, and that's how he handles his anger. You know he doesn't mean that, but he's lashing out. And it is true. You're not. But he doesn't see you that way. You know that. And you know what I'm saying? Like you have a higher understanding than them. It's the exact same thing with God. How could it see a flaw when it sees itself that doesn't know it's the same thing? That doesn't know that it's 100% holy and pure, 100% powerful, and that nothing can overcome it. Doesn't know that, so it assumes a different role and pretends to be that thing. How could a being that is above that, why would he or it penalize you for that? It doesn't make any sense. That's why God didn't kick Adam out of the garden until Adam became afraid of God. He was naked the entire time. Only difference between before he got kicked out and after, he didn't know he was naked. Once he found out he was naked, he became afraid of God. Perfect love, which is God, cast out all fear, which was Adam. All right, so let's get into this face-to-face realm thing. So now I can plainly say what I want to say because I prefaced it with all that. And if you're still here, then you must want to hear what I have to say. So, the face-to-face realm, let me just show you some pictures. It dawned on me when I saw a picture like this one day. This is a depiction or illustration of somebody having an out-of-body experience. You see, no shoes, long dress, but it's a different dress, but it's the same girl. She's outside of her body. This is her spirit right here, looking at her own face. This usually happens at death. This is usually when people get this realization that they are an eternal being, not necessarily a spiritual version of their human selves. Not but they couldn't just depict a little ball of light looking at itself, or that wouldn't make too much sense. So, but basically, this is usually when a person figures out that they live forever, that they don't die. We know this now because of recent, not resurrection, what's the word I'm looking for? Where you, why do I keep wanting to say resurrect? Revive. There we go. Same thing, I guess. When you revive someone, because of the being able to bring people back from the dead or whatever, people coming back spontaneously, even they are able to tell us their experiences now. So when people die and then they realize that they live forever, and then they go into the realm where they would normally go if they were going to die, and then all of a sudden we bring them back, they get to tell us about it if they can remember. Just like you can tell us what happened during the hours of, let's say, 9 p.m. and 9 a.m. while you were asleep. Sometime while you were asleep. Sometimes you can wake up and tell us what happened during that time in the form of a dream. But sometimes you can't remember, just like some people who die and come back can't remember. But this experience also happens when people have out of body experiences, just spontaneous wake up in the middle of the night, and they are wake up in the middle of the night because something is bumping them in the back of their head, and they open their eyes and they're on the ceiling looking down at the bed, and they're freaked the hell out. Once they gather themselves, they might go down and look under the sheet or whatever, try to look under the sheet and see who's there, and then it's them. And they're like, huh. And then a realization happens to them. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. And they wake up. That's the face-to-face realm. It's when you see yourself. It's the face-to-face realm. And I'm going to show you that Paul is talking about that. He's clearly saying that. It's when you see your face. That's the face-to-face realm. Because you are God. You just don't know that you are God. And no, I don't mean that you are the Most High, but I do mean you are the Most High. In the same sense that Jesus says, "Me and my Father are one." Yet he can talk to his Father as a separate being, but also say, "I only speak out loud for you guys, not because I have to, because my Father already knows what I want. I abide in him and he abides in me." How can two separate things abide in each other? How can one thing be inside of the other thing if it's inside of because they're one, 100% one. The exact same way consciousness, the exact same way alpha brain waves are one with delta brain waves, just on different levels of consciousness. It's the exact same thing. Just like your brain waves before you get to the 15 minutes, before you get 15 minutes into your show and get to the commercial, those brain waves are different than when you get to the commercial. So by the time you get to the commercial, you're in different brain waves. You're in a different state of mind. You would make different choices than the person you just were, but they are the exact same person. It's crazy. But nobody understands it, so they don't relate to it that way. So here's another depiction, talking about somebody out of their body and they're seeing their face. They realize it. I mean, in these stories, they're all the exact same. That's the crazy thing about it. They're all the exact same. People with lucid dreaming or having an out of body experience, one person might get up, get out of bed thinking that it's them. And then they might, like, when they step out here, they might float. And then they turn around and look back at themselves and say, "Oh my God, that's me in the bed." And first, they usually think that they're dead. And then it freaks them out. And then they usually snap back into their body because of the fear. And then they wake up like, oh, you know, out of body experience. That's what Paul says too. Says that he knew of a man, but he was referring to himself. He knew of a man. He couldn't tell if he was in the body or out of the body. That's what he said. And he heard mysteries when he was outside of the body. That's what it says. All right, so let's look at some of the conditions of people who have near-death experience. That's what NDEs are. And then I'm going to get into the scriptures that go behind all this stuff. Because if you read scriptures already, then you should be familiar with the things that I'm saying. If you haven't, then you'll be surprised that this stuff is even in there. Because most people don't look at it that way. All right, so unconditional love. This is one of the qualities that happens when somebody comes back from the dead, because they relate to themselves in a totally different way. What usually happens is if they get to the usually what happens when they come out of the body, the way that they perceive emotions stays with the body. One lady said it was like 36 years of baggage being instantly taken off of her shoulders. And when she was having a stroke on a treadmill, and her spirit separated, and she realized that she was not herself. She was not the identity here that was born here on earth. She was something totally different, and she didn't feel like that person either. She felt like something totally different. She didn't have the desires to be in her body which she previously assumed that she was. She had previously assumed she was her body. But then, once the two separated and her true mind came back to her, just like you might be a different person in your sleep, and when you wake up, your true mind returns to you, the memories of this realm. Just like her. When she got back to her true realm, those memories came back. She remembered what she was. And when she saw the body, she didn't want to return to it. It wasn't something that made her happy. That she realized what life really was. These beings, these beings, we actually go through this process when we die. We go before. People say they see their life flash before their eyes, and these people report that they see. Let me see. Reality. Oh, okay, the soul as self. This is one of the other things. So unconditional love. Uh, they perceive themselves as equally and fully loving of each and all, openly generous, excited about the potential and wonder of each person they see, because they see the same God. They see God in them. They know that that being is just as infinite, as powerful as they are. And they're like, wow, that means you are just like me. As great as I feel about myself, I should feel that way about you. It's very easy to do that. I've experienced it. It was maybe a month or too long, but I've experienced it. Confused family members tend to regard this sudden switch in behavior as oddly threatening, as if their loved one had become aloof, unresponsive, even uncaring or unloving. Because they are no longer living everyone else's dream, which is usually what happens. With most people are who they have to be for the people around them, because if they change, they would lose those people. That's because those people around them corporately have a dream for that person. For example, a husband has to be a certain way for his wife, according to her. She has an expectation of him. That is her dream of him, even though his expectations of what he wants in life could be totally separate. That's his personal dream. That's the life he should be living. But he's living according to someone else's dream. He hasn't woken up yet. Once he wakes up, then he starts living his own dream, regardless of how the people around him feel. Because loving himself is the most loving thing he can do for everyone else. Let them exist in reality, not in the dream that you want them, that they don't want to wake up from. The soul as self. Most come to recognize themselves as an immortal soul currently resident within material form. So lessons can be learned while sojourning in the earth realm. They know that they are not their body. This is a jacket they wear. The majority develop an interest in reincarnation. Some accept it as valid. And this is what I'm talking about. A true spiritual person is not a person who does quote unquote spiritual things. A true critical person is a person who sees themselves as a spirit with a body. They don't see themselves as a human. They know that they are a spirit that has come to earth and that will leave earth and return back to where it comes from. And they uh, relate to themselves in the correct manner. That is being spiritual. Everyone else is being human, or what Paul would call carnal. That's the difference. Being a mere man or a spiritual man is crazy. Multi-unit communication change. But what I was saying was they lose, not they don't lose the memories of here, but they regain the memories back there of where they come from. Loss of fear of death is very, very popular one. This is what I always refer to the scripture. Paul says, "O death, where is thy sting?" And it says that the last enemy to be defeated is death, and it is. In most people's lives, the last enemy to be defeated is death, because that's when they realize they never die. That's when they realize death isn't death, because the thing that died is the body, and they are not the body. It's like saying when I take off my jacket, I die. That's not true. It's like saying when a snake sheds its skin, it dies. It's not true. It's like saying when a human being leaves this realm of interaction, that they die. That's not true. They lose that fear of death because they experience what we believed to be death, and they realize that they continue to live. And it says they become more spiritual, less religious, because they lose the cultural beliefs. The cultural beliefs are based off the personality that was born on earth. The personality that was born on earth is black or white or Japanese or Jamaican. That is that person. That is that person. And to be black means that you are something. You are a certain way because you are black. Or if you come from the ghetto, or if you come from the burbs, it's a different it's a different belief system there. Or if you're American versus Italian. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, American versus Italian. Let's put it that way. Or if you were born in America, or if you were born in Italy, it's a difference. They have different customs, different rituals, but all that stuff is cultural. Just like religions, they are cultural. Just like perception, it is cultural. Everybody has the same, might have the same, well, they don't have the same minds. Actually, they might all be seeing the exact same thing, but differently based off of their background and experiences and their beliefs. They're going to see different things from it. That's why people have different near-death experiences, even though the near-death experiences are all the same. Some people see Buddha, some people see Islamic figure, or some people see Christ. Some people see Mary, and that's crazy. They're all different, but in the same place. When some people have visions, they see Mary. Some people have visions, they see their version of Muhammad, or some people have visions, they see Jesus. Some people see visions, they have visions, they see a Hindu god or goddess or something like that. But they all have visions, you know. And everybody's like, mine is the right one because I had a vision. It's crazy. Easily engage in abstract thinking, more philosophical, go through various bouts of depression. Yes, that is true. I just was talking to somebody who's at this phase right here. And that's when Jesus talks about when you seek truth and you find it, at first you're troubled. And that's where a lot of people get stuck at. They're troubled, and you hear them yelling and yelling and yelling all the time on videos and on the streets and the corners. You hear them yelling all the time. They're at the troubled part. All they see is the danger, and all they keep saying is danger, danger, danger. There's danger. I'm motivating you with fear because danger is at the door. While other people, they get past that, and that's when Jesus says they get into awe. And when they get into awe, well, that's when they rule over all. Because they understand what things really are. They've taken on the nature of the man. They've reached they've taken not nature of the man, but what Paul talks about when he left childish things and became a man. That's synonymous with becoming an heir of all things, a ruler of all things, and I'm gonna show you that in a second. All right, so I just wanted to show you this stuff just to show you what people who have these near-death experiences say. It's ironically the exact same thing that happens for people who quote unquote are born again, except these people aren't hypocrites about it. And I don't mean everyone who's born again is a hypocrite. What it means is, what I'm trying to say is uh, this for them, it happens at a core level. It's not something that you have to practice to be. Most people, when they adopt a religion, they practice to be the image of perfection of that religion. These people have no religion. They have an experience that transforms them. That's the difference. That's why a lot of people, it's well, I won't even get into that. But me personally, let me put it that way. Let me put it that way. Me personally, my born again experience was an experience. Okay, so that changed me there. That's when I knew God existed. It was because of that experience there. Then I adopted a religion. The religion that was closest to me was Christianity. Through that religion, God revealed himself to me. Then God revealed to me that religion was the segue to where he wanted me. Religion is the wilderness, it was meant to get you to the promised land. And the promised land is where you walk with God face to face. And I believe that's where I'm at, to be honest. And the beginning of the religion is the fear. It's the fear part. Usually that's where most people are staying at. The fear of God. They realize who God is, and now they're afraid. It's like Isaiah before God. Woe is me. I should be dead because I'm unclean. And then simply God, or seraphim comes down, cleanses Isaiah, and boom, now your sins are gone. Your iniquities have been removed. Now will you hear what I have to say? Instead of worrying about your uncleanliness, even though you're before me already. Isaiah, Adam, everyone else is the exact same thing. Oh man, we going on them tangents, boy. All right, so finish that one. Let's get back to this face-to-face realm. Okay, so the face-to-face realm. Jacob called that place Peniel Peniel. I like that, man, because it's like the pineal gland thing. For I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Because the belief was if you saw God face to face, you would die. But in all actuality, Jacob did die, and then Israel was born that day. And ironically, what does Israel mean? Those who rule as God. Israel. It's Sarah plus El, Sarah in God, Israel. It's those who rule as God. Sarah means like princess or something like that. Those who rule as God. That's what Israel means. Those who rule as God. So Jacob, which meant supplanter, which means something that takes someone else's place, that's what he was. He's a space holder for the truth, for his true self, which is Israel. The angel that he wrestled with was a messenger. He wrestled with that angel until he blessed him. That's what happens when you get a message. It's sent to kill you, sent to kill you and give you its new nature, the new nature, the revelation. Or you'll see what Paul talks about, how we go from glory to glory. You change into the image that you behold. That's what this is talking about. Just like when people die, have near-death experiences, they die and they see what they truly are. They come back to life and they're different people. Most people won't recognize them. That's one major thing people say to me, Lou, you changed. Or people who never knew me before, they see me now and they're like, you're different. They could never even imagine me being the person that I was before when I tell them all the shit that I used to do. Never. They couldn't even imagine it. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face and my life is preserved. And that was when he was called Israel, or had a change of nature, and he became one who ruled as God, or went from his childish nature to becoming a man. Or as Christ would say in the Gospel of Thomas, he went from troubled or the fear of God to perfect love or awe. And then he became the ruler of all. Or as Paul would say, and I think it's either Galatians or Ephesians, I always get those two mixed up because of the ends at the end. Cause the ends, yeah, the ends at the end. But it's just like he was saying, where the son is a slave until he becomes a man. Then he is ruler over all things. The son is a slave, even though he's ruler over all things. Though he's the heir and ruler of all things, as long as he stays a child, he'll always be as a slave. But once he becomes a man, then he actually becomes the ruler. It's the exact same pattern, over and over and over again, over and over and over again. I'll show you another example. Peter, Satan desires to sift you as wheat, but I have prayed that your faith fail not, but that when you are strengthened, you will come back and strengthen your brothers. It's the exact same thing. Sifting of wheat is actually how you clean wheat. Satan wanted to clean Peter because sifting of wheat is removing of the skin of the wheat, the chaff, the outside portion, so that the inner portion could actually be revealed. The exact same process. The skin dying so that you can see the soul on the inside. And why is that happening? Is because that is the serpent's curse from Genesis. He has to eat the flesh of man. He has to eat dust, the same dust that man's flesh is made of. His job is to remove your flesh so that you can see who you truly are. That's why the serpent got them to eat from the tree in the first place. It's to wake them up to who they actually are. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous what is taught to what is actual. It's crazy. And some people are probably disgusted by this stuff. What I'm saying right now, they're probably throwing up. All right, and the Lord spoke unto Moses face to face as a man speaking to his friend. This is where we really want to go with it. And it says face to face, talk to you face to face, face to face, face to face. Okay, so the face to face realm, what is it? And I don't believe it's the religious face to face realm that most people say. All right, so let's look at this right here. This is God talking to Moses. I'm sorry, Moses is there, but he's talking to Aaron and Miriam because they spoke against Moses. And he's like, why did you do this? And he's about to tell him some stuff. And he says, hear now my words. Now, let me pause right here really quick. Let me show you this because I talk about this all the time, and I'll do a video on this. The bar. Bar. Simon Bar Jonah. Bar means son. This here is the letter Dalet. Dalet is the word. It's like the letter. Letters are words in Hebrew. This is door, this is house, and this is head. Or mean other things, but this is door, house, head. Beit Resh is son. That's what this is. Bar is son. This is Dalet, and that means door. This door would be a veil. That's the type of door it would have been, a veil. Revelation is the removal of the veil. The sun is veiled. That's what the bar is. And ironically, this is the word for word. This is also the word for commandment. The commandments are the sun veiled. The thou shalt nots are only half of the story. The true story is the sun underneath the veil. That's what the thou shalt be, or how you become. So he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, make myself known unto him in a vision. and will speak unto him in a dream. How did God just say he makes himself known to prophets? Visions and dreams. What is it? These are the same thing but opposite. Dream is at night, vision is when you are awake. Daydreams are not nothing. They're not nothing. You get ideas and those things all the time and you just cast them away because as a society, we don't cherish them. When God is clearly showing you how he speaks to you, dreams and visions. Remember, he spoke to Pharaoh too, trying to tell him that there was a 7 year famine coming, and Pharaoh couldn't understand the dream. It wasn't that God wasn't speaking; it was man wasn't listening. Dreams and visions is how he speaks. All right, now this word vision here. Look at that. How would you say that? Mara, 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 mirror. I think I got the definition up here. Mara, feminine noun from this word, which means visions. See, vision, mode of revelation. What I just say, removal of the veil, revelation. Remember that? Remember that because we're going to say that a few times. The veil, the veil, the veil being removed. Revelation, removal of the veil. Mirror, mirror. So this word here, I speak to him in a vision. I speak to him in a mirror. Mirror. He's saying that a vision is a mirror, or that a revelation is a mirror. Remember that. Remember that. And I will speak to him in a dream. We all know what a dream is. Same thing at night when you're asleep. So he's saying that that's how he speaks to his prophets. But he's going to make a comparison between those things. He says, my servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all my house. With him I speak mouth to mouth, which is the same thing as face to face, even apparently, and not in dark speeches. Even apparently, not in dark speeches. Dark speeches, this is how you say parables. And let me just show you that. Let me open this up. Okay. Pe to pe, mouth to mouth. With him I will speak mouth to mouth, even apparently. Mara, remember that? Mar-ah. It's the same. It's the word that the other word mirror came from. Apparently, in vision, like plainly in vision, clearly seeing. Not in dark speeches. Chayada. Let's look at this. Or hayada, something like that. Hayada. Something like that. I don't know. Somewhere near there. Dark speeches. Dark speeches. He's not speaking to him in dark speeches. This dark speeches is the opposite of face to face. Riddle, difficult question, parables, enigmatic sayings or question, perplexing sayings or question, riddle, obscure utterance, riddle, enigma, to be guessed, perplexing question, difficult, double dealing with heaven. I don't know what that means, but so you see, it's a riddle. Basically, it's a parable. So God is saying that I don't speak to him in parables. This is comparison between dream and vision because dreams and visions are symbolic speech. Remember, in the dream, the 7 year dream, or the dream where God was trying to warn Pharaoh about the 7 years of famine, there were 7 cows that ate 7 cows, and 7 heads of grain that ate 7 heads of grains. Same thing in Joseph's dream. Remember, it was the sun, moon, and the stars bowed down to him, or his brother sheaves bowed down to his sheaves. Remember, symbolic dreams. Those are symbols that have to be interpreted. He's saying that I don't speak with Moses that way. I speak to him the opposite of that. And he says, and the similitude of the Lord shall he behold. The similitude of the Lord shall he behold. He sees the image of God. I gotta skip and go straight to that. Wow, this is hot. He doesn't speak to Moses in dark speeches. He doesn't do it in dreams and visions that have to be interpreted. Instead, Moses sees the similitude of who? The Lord. That's what he shall behold. Now let me go straight to this scripture. What happened? My computer's being stupid. Okay. No, that's not the one. Okay. Whew. But we all with open. This means unveiled. Unveiled. Anacalypto. Apocalypto is removed veil. Anacalypto is talking about the veil being removed. Open face, beholding as in a this word glass means mirror. I'll show you the definition in a second. Beholding as in a mirror the glory of the Lord are changed into the same image from glory to glory. Where were we? No. There we go. With him I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently. Mirror, even apparently. What did I do? What's going on? Oh my goodness. Okay, I did that again. Okay. But we all with unveiled face, revelation, unveiled, removal of the veil, face, beholding in a mirror, seeing our face to face, in a mirror, the glory of the Lord, are changed into the same image from glory to glory, or revelation to revelation. Every time the veil is removed, we behold as in a mirror the glory of the Lord. That's what God just said in this scripture about Moses. Moses doesn't see in dark speeches. Paul talks about seeing in a mirror darkly. I'm going to show you that scripture in a second. As a matter of fact, let's just go straight there. If I can find it out of all of these options. All these tabs up here. And then they take forever to pop up escalations, actually. So it's not that one. God speak. Okay, down here. Down here. Okay. And look, I just messed this one up. Now it says the air. Okay, no, that's right. And now we know in part, we prophesy in part. No. Yeah. That was just, when I was a child, speak as a child, so. This is the comparison I was talking about earlier. For now we see through a glass darkly. All right, now let's look at this. This is going to blow you away. If you've never seen this before, it's going to blow you away. It's making me go crazy in my mind right now just thinking that this stuff is matching up. Okay, for now we see through a glass. This word here, glass, is mirror. Darkly. Look at that. An enigma. An enigma. For now we see through a mirror our face. What do you see in a mirror? Your face. You see your face darkly or in an enigma, but then face to face. Ooh. 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 I'm making the ugly face right now. Ooh. Let me see where those definitions at. This is the word catatrizo. Let's go back to that so you can see it. Wait, that's not the one. Where does that mirror? Oh, that's from this scripture here. Mirror from that scripture there. Oh, so I didn't go to this definition. Okay, let's do it. I should open it in another tab. Oh, okay. I'm getting really anxious. Okay, there we go. Okay. Bring out my Thule on them. Let's look at that word, and then let's look at this word, enigma. In an enigma. In an enigma. I don't really have to show you what enigma means, but riddle, enigma. Remember, this was Chayada. I don't speak to Moses in dark speech. Pushed the wrong button. Darkly. Just pauses like this make me record the whole video over. I'm not going to do that this time. All right, so mirror. You see a mirror. The mirrors of the ancients were made not of glass but steel. saying we seeing ourselves in a mirror. This is the word that is interpreted glass. And we remember we saw mirror before. We saw mirror twice. One mirror meant to be apparent. One mirror meant to be hidden. Oh, it's okay. You can wait. So an enigma, an obscure saying, enigma, riddle, an obscure thing. So we see our face in a mirror that is an enigma. It's a parable, which means that you can take it for face value, but it doesn't mean that it's the truth. He says, but then, but when that which is perfect has come. What is perfect? Perfect love, the thing that cast out all fear, which was the beginning of when you saw, when you started to see the fear of God. That's the beginning. That's when you wake up to the problem. That's when you're troubled. When you're finding truth, you're troubled. Through a glass, just think about that. He's saying through, it's the exact same thing I just showed you, through a mirror darkly, through a vision or a revelation or the mirror of the word, as I'll show you, he's saying darkly. But then, or in an enigma, but then face to face. When is then? When the veil is removed. Let's see. No, not that one. Let's go to another one that says the exact same thing. Okay, enigma, we got to that. Okay. Now I can go through all that, but it's just going to take more time. Ooh, yes. But we have this treasure in earthen vessels. We are troubled on every side, persecuted. Wait, I think this is the wrong. What was I trying to get to? 3, chapter 3. Yeah, that's the wrong one. It's still a good read. Okay, yeah. I want to get back to this. All right. Now, I talked about this in that other video, the ministry of the spirit versus the ministry of the letter. And you can just read, this is very poetic in nature. It just goes back and forth, comparison, contrast, comparison, contrast. And each one is always going to be comparing the spirit to the letter. But then it's going to use different analogies to say the same thing over and over and over and over again, all the way through. All right. Okay, for even that which was made glorious had no glory in this respect by the reason of the glory that excelleth. For if that which is done away was glorious, much more that which remaineth is glorious. And it's basically talking about the law or the letter and the spirit. That's what it's talking about. Most people use this to say that the law is thrown out and we only read the New Testament. That is a surface level understanding of this scripture, but it's based off of the fact that they're not looking at the real truth behind it. This is talking about the letter versus the spirit, meaning do we read do we interpret the symbolisms, or do we just take the symbolisms? Do we take the parable, or do we want to get the interpretation of the parable? You know, do we just accept what Jesus said, or do we take him off to the side and ask him, what did you mean by that? That's what he's saying. The law had glory, but the interpretation of it is the actual thing. We were never meant to read the veil on Moses' face. We were meant to read Moses' face. That's what he's saying. Seeing that we have such hope, we use great plainness of speech. Now oops. Yeah, okay, that did work. Plainness of speech. All right, let's look at this word right here. Paul says we use plainness of speech. Plainness of speech. What does this mean? Plainness of speech. Freedom in speaking, unreserved in speech, open frankly, i.e. without concealment, without ambiguity or circumlocution, without the use of figures and comparisons. Basically, we're not using parables. We're not using dark sayings. Like God said, we're speaking to you face to face. It's the exact same thing. He's saying, seeing then He's basically saying that we're not speaking with the veil on. We're giving you the interpretation. Okay. And seeing that we have such hope, we use great plainness of speech, not as Moses. He's making a comparison. This is still a comparison between the spirit and the letter. This is still a comparison. Seeing that we have such hope, we use great plainness of speech, and not as Moses, which put a veil over his face, that the children of Israel could not steadfastly look to the end of that which is abolished. Why did Jesus say he spoke in parables? So that seeing they would not see. It's the exact same reason Moses put a veil on. Now let me show you here. They saw that his face was radiant. Then Moses would put the veil back over his face until he went back in to speak with the Lord. Every time he went into the face-to-face realm with the Lord, he came out with a shining face. It literally means horns of light were shooting out of his face. Then he would put a veil on so that they couldn't see the light. Basically, when you see, and remember what Paul says, when we see the glory of the Lord, we're transformed into the same image. What did God say in Numbers? And the similitude of the Lord he shall behold. Moses, referring to Moses, Moses sees the similitude of the Lord and becomes just like the similitude, the image. That's what similitude means, the image of the Lord. He sees the image and he becomes like the image. That is the light that shines from his face. It is the enlightened man. That's why he puts a veil over his face so that they can't see that. Why couldn't they see that? Because they didn't want to draw near to him because of their fear. Their fear caused the separation. That's the veil. When Moses went up on a mountain to speak with God the very first time, they heard the thunder of God's voice. They said, Moses, you speak with us because we're afraid if God speaks to us, we will die. The veil on Moses' face represents the veil in the Holy of Holies, where God's presence would go. Moses was the Holy of Holies, the place that they said was paved with gold on the inside so the light would shine. The same thing that happened to his face. They put a veil on the Holy of Holies to separate the presence of God from the presence of man so man wouldn't die. Same thing as Moses putting a veil on his face. What did Jesus come to do? Died, and then the veil was rent. The removal of the veil, or the revelation. Paul says Jesus made a better way by going through the veil. That is his flesh. The flesh of Jesus is you. The veil is there because of your fear, but when that which is perfect, love, has come, that which is in part, the veil is removed, and you see what you truly are. That's what Moses was hiding from them. That's the truth that they didn't see. Let's go over here to where Paul is actually saying that again. And not as Moses, which put a veil over his face, that the children of Israel could not steadfastly look to the end of that which is abolished. If that which is abolished is the literal interpretation of the scriptures, not the interpretation that Paul is talking about. And let me tell you what Paul's interpretation is, if I can find it real quick. Every time I click the screen, it makes it pop up faster. That was the thing about the manna. Thing about the manna. That's not what I was looking for. Still not working. A little trick. Okay, there we go. Now to him that is of power to establish you according to my gospel. This is Paul talking. My gospel. What is the gospel? The gospel is the story of Jesus, isn't it? The gospel is the story that the disciples gave to people because they were walking with Jesus. It's the story of Jesus' life. Not exactly. And the preaching of Jesus Christ according to what? The revelation of the mystery. Paul was a mystic, ladies and gentlemen. He was an occult teacher. The revelation of the mystery which has been kept secret, that's what occult means, hidden, since the world began, but now is made manifest, and by the scriptures of the prophets, according to the commandment of the everlasting God, made known to all nations for the obedience of faith. Paul's gospel was the preaching of Jesus Christ according to the revelation of the mystery. What mystery? The one that was kept secret since the world began, but is now made manifest. And how? By the scriptures of the prophets. Oh, so what was his revelation? What was he unveiling? Because remember, revelation means to unveil. What was he unveiling? He was unveiling the mystery. What mystery? The one hidden in the prophetic scriptures, the scriptures of the prophets. That's Paul's gospel. That was him seeing Jesus. That's how he saw Christ. And his gospels, Paul's writings came before the gospels, the gospels of Jesus' life. And Paul never met Jesus. He never encountered Christ. You know. So think about that. So where are we here? Okay. Now, seeing that we have such hope, we use great plainness of speech, and not as Moses, which put a veil over his face, that the children of Israel could not steadfastly look to the end of that which is abolished. But their minds were blinded, for until this day remaineth the same veil untaken away in the reading of what? The Old Testament. The Old Testament, synonymous with the prophets that Paul was just talking about. That's where he sees Christ, which veil is done away in Christ. And this is still a comparison between the letter and the spirit. The spirit is Christ. The letter is the Old Testament with the veil still on it. But when you turn to the spirit, that veil is removed. When the veil is removed, that which is in part is done away with. When the veil is removed, that's when we go from seeing our faces darkly in the mirror to face to face. That's what he's talking about. But even unto this day, when Moses is read, the veil is upon their heart. The veil that what was on Moses' face is upon their heart. Heart represents understanding. Jesus' parable. Why do you speak in parables? Or when he explains, why do you speak in parables? So that seeing they do not see, hearing they do not hear, and they cannot understand with their hearts. Lest they be, what does it say? Lest they hear, see, and understand, and I heal them. That's what it says. So how do you get healing? See, hear, understand. See, hear, understand what? It's the face-to-face realm. It's the removal of the veil. Correctly understanding and knowing yourself. That's how you get healed by Jesus. Isn't that crazy? Now the Lord is that spirit. What spirit? The spirit he was talking about at the beginning of this chapter. And where that spirit of the Lord is, there's liberty. I won't go into liberty this time because I already discussed it. But we all, with open, unveiled face, as in a mirror, beholding as in a mirror the glory of the Lord. The glory, the similitude, the image of the Lord. The same thing Moses got to see when he would go in to his tent, which they called the tabernacle of meeting. That's where God began to go to Moses' tent, and he would take the veil off his face, and then he would speak with God as a friend, face to face. All right, are changed into the same image from glory to glory, even as by the Spirit of the Lord. Now, let's go to back to this one. All right, so he's saying under here. Oh wait, all right, that's the end of that one. Okay, he says, but when that which is perfect is come, we already talked about what that which is perfect is, then that which is in part shall be done away with. Remember, when I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child. But this is that comparison contrast, that poetic language again. When I was a child, I spake as a child. When that which is perfect has come, that which is done away is that which in part is done away with. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. Childish things are the things that are done away with. So becoming a man is synonymous with that which is perfect coming. All right. For now we see through a glass darkly. That is synonymous with being childish or the thing that is done away. But then face to face, which is synonymous with being a man. Now I know in part, which is synonymous with being a child. But then shall I know even as I am known, which is synonymous with being a man. Okay? And I think it's about to switch, so I'm going to go to the next thing I had to go to anyway. So now, oh foolish Galatians. No, wait. Well, that's not the part that I want to go to. Yeah, this is the wrong one. So I might as well go back on this one too. To the right one. Because I'm going to be going back and forth. Okay. Let's look at this one more time. This whole man and boy thing. This didn't go back yet. Oh, yes, it did. No. Where are we at with it? All right, cool. Then I shall know, even as I am known. Can I scroll this thing up? Oh, this is so frustrating. I just want to karate kick this thing. Oh, this recording software, it makes the computer glitchy. Oh, filth, Lauren, filth. I just want to scrabbity rabbity. Come on, man. It just keep going back down too. It's really starting to piss me off. It won't go back up. I don't know what's going on with this page right now. Let me refresh it and see what happens. All right, so now I say that the heir, as long as he is a child, this is Paul talking again, differeth nothing from a servant. That word servant is slave. That's probably a nicer way to say it. Now I say that the heir, as long as he is a child, differ nothing from a slave, though he be Lord of all. Though he is Lord of all, he's no different from the servant of the Lord of all, because he's still a child. Even though he's supposed to inherit what? The kingdom, everything. He's Lord of everything. You are God. That's what I was telling you. That's why Jesus said it. Before Abraham, I am. Your soul existed before the figure, character, personality born on earth, Abraham. You're greater than every individual that ever existed on a spirit level. That's why Jesus says, you want to kill me, but doesn't your own scripture say that ye are gods? It says you will die like men because you don't know what the hell you are. Of course you're going to die like a man, kicking and screaming, wanting to stay here, thinking that on the other side is death, and it's not. Now I say that the heir, as long as he is a child, differeth nothing from a servant, though he be Lord of all. Let's see if this thing gonna work with me this time. All right. Now, when I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child. But, oh wait, I thought as a child. But, when I became a man, I put away childish things. Basically, I became an heir. He knew even as he was known. He knew what he was. He started to understand what he was. But he is under tutors and governors until the appointed time of the Father. Even so, when we were children, we were in bondage under the elements of the world. Still, and same thing. Well, when the fullness of the time was come, God sent forth His Son, made of a woman under the law, to redeem those that are under the law, that we might receive the adoption of sons. And I don't really like that language because the only adoption is you realizing that you were already a son. So on that note, let's go to the Gospel of Thomas, Didymos, the twin of Jesus. How could you have a twin? How could Jesus have a twin if he was the only son born from God? That's what Didymus means, though, but it's all symbolic language. These are the secret sayings that the living Jesus spoke, and Didymus, Judas, Thomas recorded, the twin. And he said, whoever discovers the interpretation of these sayings will not taste death. Does it mean that they will not literally die? It means that they will understand that there is no death. Jesus said, those who seek should not stop seeking until they find. When they find, they will be disturbed. This was when most people park the car, put on the emergency brake, put on some music, smoke a cigarette, and they just sit there. They just chill there the entire time. They never move past that part of being disturbed when they find the truth. Those are the people with all the rah-rah. They're very rah-rah-rah about it. They're very anti, very anti. But it doesn't make sense to be anti. You're anti yourself. That's like people who have a war with their flesh. You can't war with your flesh. That's why I don't like the verbiage of that stuff, because it's the wrong mentality for us today. You can't war with your flesh, because the kingdom divided cannot stand. If you fight your flesh will fight you back. Why? Because it is only coinciding with your belief that there is a war in the first place. So yeah, there will be peace and then there will be war. Or you can see it like Joseph saw it at the end of the day. Even people's hatred towards me, even when they meticulously plot to overthrow me or to kill me or to betray me, even that right there is God's love towards me. How can I be upset? Then no weapon against you truly will prosper. Well, actually, it will prosper. It just won't prosper for the enemy. It'll prosper for you, which will probably benefit your quote unquote enemy. That's why Jesus says, love your enemies, love those that spitefully use you. Love them. They're getting you where you want to go, and at the same time, they're helping themselves. They don't even know it. When they are disturbed, they will marvel, and then they will reign over all. What did Paul talk about? And I think I went past it, but you know what it said? He's an heir over all. Even though he's a child, he's ruler over all things. Though he be Lord over all. Okay, you're already this. You just don't know it yet. You haven't gotten to this place. When that which is perfect has come, when you've cast out all fear and perfect love is there. And it says, after they have reigned, I guess this is not there, maybe found later in the text or something. It says, after they have reigned, they will rest, like God did at the end of his creation. Jesus said, if your leaders say to you, look, the Father's kingdom is in the sky, then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say to you, it is in the sea, then the fish will precede you. Rather, the Father's kingdom is within you, and it's outside of you. I love that. I love that. The kingdom is within you. And most people don't understand that. How is the kingdom within you? The kingdom is your spirit. It is your spirit. Your spirit is not just a being. It is also a place. That's how you can abide in the Father, and the Father can abide in you. Very simple. Just like in your dreams, you abide in your consciousness. But your consciousness, ironically, abides in you. Yeah. I don't know. Try to figure it out. But it makes perfect sense to me. It makes perfect sense. It's very easy now for me to understand how Jesus can say, I and the Father are one. I don't do anything that I don't see him do. It's very simple. Very simple. You can't do anything that your conscience doesn't do for you prior to doing. The you that exists in consciousness is the stencil for your life. You change the stencil, you change your life. You can't do anything that you doesn't create, and that you becomes the Father of the living you here. It's very simple, very simple. It's not I have to keep my eyes on the Most High. I don't have to. There's so many, it's billions and billions of individuals, and everyone's supposed to live the exact same life. I don't have to keep my eye on the Most High to know what to do. I'm controlled by my God self that is untamed, that I have not brought into awakening yet. The kingdom is within you. It's your imagination. The same place I said you go into faith, the realm of faith, the hypostasis, the underlying reality. You go there and create everything that you want on that energetic level, and then it manifests in matter. And through some circumstance, through matter, because circumstances are also energetic. They seem like events, but they're not. They're energetic events, I guess you could say. And they happen on an energetic level first. Okay, so the kingdom is within you and it's outside of you. Of course, it then leads outside of you, just like Jesus can walk up on someone and say, the kingdom is at hand, or the kingdom is before you, and they don't see anything, but you know, what's outside of them is something totally different. Okay, so the kingdom is within you. It is that consciousness, that realm where you go. It's the place where you received the thing that you so desire. When Jesus says, whatsoever you desire, believe that you have received it. Well, where do you receive it? On where is it received first before you actually get it? It's received in the kingdom. That's why Jesus says, don't seek ye seek ye first the kingdom. Don't chase the things. That's the reverse. That's how the heathens act, the pagans act. That's how people who don't understand God act. They try to seek the things instead of going into the kingdom and creating on an energetic level first. Says your Father knows what you need. You don't even have to ask for it. Simply give thanks. When you know yourselves, then you will be known. When you know yourselves, then you will be known. Now I have to type this up. I will tell them plainly, not in a parable. It's funny because I don't think they're going to hell or anything. They just don't get the portion that they thought they should get. Then I will tell them plainly, I never knew you. These are people who say, Lord, Lord. There you go right there. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name? Cast out demons in your name, do many miracles in your name, and I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. All right. I know people are probably like, well, then what is lawlessness? What is your interpretation of law? I'm here. Lawlessness. Well, the new covenant, the covenant God always wanted, was for the law to be written in your hearts and in your mind, not for you to have to go to a book outside of you to, know the law. The law is supposed to be written in you. It's your nature. It's your God nature. It's very easy. It's very simple once you start seeing it that way. But he says, when you know yourselves, then you will be known. What was Paul looking for? I don't know where any of these tabs are. Okay. Yes. For now I know in part, but then shall I know, even as I am known. Where is it at? I keep doing this. Where is it at? All right. When you know yourselves, then you will be known. When you know yourselves, then you will be known. What does Paul want? To be known even as he knows, or to know even as he is known. And how does he do that? He has to know himself first. That's what it's talking about, discovering yourself face to face. Those pictures I was showing you there, these symbolic representations of someone having an out-of-body experience and seeing their face close up. When you know yourselves, then you will be known, and you will understand that you are children of the living Father. You don't have to become them. When you know yourselves, then you will be known, and you will understand that you are children of the living Father. But if you do not know yourselves, then you live in poverty, and you are the poverty. You are the poverty. Even though within you is the kingdom that you are heir of. But as long as you are a child or do not know yourself, though you are ruler of all things, ruler of all things. If you do not know yourself, you live just like a slave, a servant in poverty, because it is you that is the poverty. So let's flip this around. But if you do know yourselves, then you live in wealth. What wealth? Your Father's kingdom. The kingdom that you're heir of, the one that you just inherited. You just became ruler over everything. Of course you're wealthy. And you are the wealth. Okay. Telling you, man. Telling you. I think that's it. I think that's everything. All right, how long was that? About hour and 10 minutes. Okay, so that's it, folks. That's everything. I'm going to convert this video in a couple days and then post this, and give me some feedback. Let me know what you think if you ever have the chance to watch this. I put a Facebook stat up the other day. I don't do this. I do this in front of the 100, but I only do it for the one that can see the beauty, despite the 99's criticisms. That's what I do it for. I love for everybody to be into this, to see life in this, but not everybody will. But the one that is seeking it, that will find it, this is for you. This is God's gift to you. Same thing that was given to me from my father, it's from your father too. It's that freedom, that ability for you to actually be the heir of the kingdom that is within you, to actually rightfully understand yourself so that you can act correctly and get the results that you actually desire, the ones that you really seek. To know how to do that is freedom. To know that whatever you want, there's already an amen for it. You don't have to worry about is this pleasing to God or displeasing to God. Because you are a son. And not only are you the son, but you are the father too, because that's what becoming the heir of the kingdom is. Now you are the father. You take your father's place. It's like so much peace in it, so much peace and ability. And it's not an overnight thing. It's not a thing that happens one time and happens forever. But if you can remember that vibration, that level, when you get to your peaks, if you can remember that level, if you can take that with you, if you can take, like when Abraham was with God and God said, look at the stars and that'll be your descendants. If you can take that vibration, if you can take that feeling, that emotional feeling from that experience that you had with God that time and keep that with you when, I don't know, what was it, 13 years later or something like that, when Sarah's like, or when his wife is like, why don't you just go into my handmaiden, or why don't you just go into my go into this concubine or whatever, my servant, why don't you go into her? You can keep that vibration and say, no, I'm not walking by what I see here. I'm walking by faith. I'm walking by an underlying reality that none of you see. But I know it's true because I have received the thing that I desire already. I received it on an energetic level, on in the realm of faith, in the kingdom where every single thing already exists, waiting to be brought into actuality. It's just waiting there in a potential form known as energy. In this realm, we call it energy. It's just waiting in a potential form that anything can be created from it. Anything. You can just go there and create it. I mean, it's ridiculous, man. It's totally ridiculous. Computers started in someone's mind. Cars started in someone's mind. The telephone started in someone's mind. But we don't look at it that way. So it started in the kingdom. That's where all that stuff came from, the kingdom. Seek ye not, or seek ye first the kingdom, and all these things will be added to you. Don't seek the things. That's manipulation. That's manipulation of the physical realm. And though it'll work for you, that's the exact same thing as Adam working for bread by the sweat of his brow. When it could come to you very easily in the cool of the day in the garden, it could come to you very easily just by knowing how desire is manifested, which in Proverbs is called a tree of life, the thing that Adam couldn't get access to. All right, so I'm done now. I will see you guys in the next video. Comment, like, subscribe, share, all those good things would be appreciated. All right, folks. See you in the next one.